I woke up very unhappy, very scared, just very scary, scared, really scared. Was I really scared? Yes. I had like weird feelings in the pit of my stomach before it even started. I'm scared.
All right, guys, I need you to tell me something.
Bring me
What's
back
this?
to life.
What's
It's a
that?
circle.
Can't
for
take
sure.
no time.
It's a bad circle,
Looks like
but
an
it's a
egg,
circle.
actually.
Okay, hold on.
It's an oblate spheroid.
Have you guys seen the circle drawing competitions?
What is it now?
It's
a hole?
It's a
Filled circle?
otherwise known as a full circle, and that's what we've come, everybody.
we have to work on your
For
intros.
this
we
epi.
really got to workshop these.
That's right. The Bad Boys of Horror have returned for the 20th episode of 2 Minute Baby, the horror movie review show where three best friends discuss a new movie each episode.
Oh, I just realized why it's full circle.
However, what makes this a truly full circle moment, though, folks, and we're going to talk about circles later, is today we'll be discussing 2025's Bring Her Back, talk about full circle, a fitting title for a film that marks the sophomore outing of the Philippou Brothers, who directed the movie that started this all.
Wow.
Full circle. 2023's Talk to Me. So now here we sit exactly 2 years, almost not exactly 20 episodes and 2,000 downloads later, and we still haven't killed each other.
2,000 downloads?
Yeah, dude.
Total?
No, well,
Those are good metrics.
if you add our moms together, the crew that still remains intact features me, your handsome host, William Dubbs, joined by musician turned horror historian Brendan Fletcher, and our resident comedian and the baby of the show, Abby Krinsky. Look at how far we've come. Brendan, hit that theme song.
Jang it.
2 men and a baby, oh yeah. 2 men and a motherfucking baby.
All right. Now, just so everybody knows what to expect, I'm going to run through the schedule of scares. The itinerary, if you may.
Wow.
Beware, folks, it's time for an agenda side. The show kicks off with our own synopses, each in one sentence and one sentence only, before reading the official one so that the audience knows what the movie is about. Then, for the average kind of scared theater goer, we have Baby in the Corner, where our resident infant, Abby Krinsky, will tell the normies just how scary the movies are. After all, it's 2 Minute Baby, and we know which ones are the men. After that, we are going to dip down into the spoiler room, have our full-blown conversation of the movie, run down various cinema elements that should be discussed when talking about every film, and we will round things out with Rotten as Tomato and our own proprietary scores.
Scary.
Whoa.
I also wrote Itinerary, so I sort of have a theme going here. But I did not write agenda side.
He told me not to say it. I don't care.
Let's pop off with the scares and with the creeps and with the absolute spooky spooks.
Let's bring her back to life.
Yeah, I mean, 2 seconds before we start with the synopses, do we need to talk about our viewing experience? Me and Abby, basically a home court advantage. We saw it at Newport Center.
Your home court.
Jersey City.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, yeah.
Dubs, anytime he tells a story, it's from his perspective.
I will say the one funny thing about this was that, Abby, I had tickets. He didn't have to come. And it seemed like it was sort of an inconvenience.
It was quite inconvenient.
And then he was like, fuck it, dude, I'm too scared to see it by
I had
myself."
to see it, and no one could come, so I was like, either I watch it alone conveniently and get home at a normal hour, or I go to goddamn Jersey City out of my way.
Where would
But
you have seen it? If you
I would have saw it like in the
Just, like,
city alone, and I would have
Williamsburg,
cried.
like,
Yeah.
you're fine.
So I had Will for comfort, which was helpful. And I did. The one note is I tried what my childhood dream of 10 years ago. I lived finally, which is I got chicken tendies at an AMC movie theater.
I think a lot of kids grow up and they say, I just want tendies and an AMC.
Tendies at AMC.
And they say, give me some honey mustard, give me some chicken
He's
tendies.
like,
So,
can I please
were they
spend
good?
$10.50 for no fried chicken tenders? They were okay, but it
Where are
doesn't
they
matter.
cooking those up?
I mean, stadium style.
The bizarre thing
Defrost?
Yeah.
Microwave style?
I'm sure.
I will die on this hill. AMC has the best mass-produced mozzarella
You're
sticks.
obsessed with them, yeah.
No, this is the thing, though.
Guys, write in. Do you agree with this?
And you get 10 of
Has
them.
anyone tried it?
No place gives 10. It's
I would
actually a good deal. It's $14 for 10 mozzie sticks. There are pizza places that charge $12 for 4.
I bet if you polled every American, if you're going to a movie theater, with the likelihood of you purchasing mozzarella sticks, it would have to be below 2%.
I don't know about at AMC.
Of all moviegoers.
Well, once they
The
hear
real-
this podcast, they're gonna.
No, the True Stubbs members know. That's where the Mozzies are at.
Oh, Will Stubbs
We will
over
be putting
here.
out a poll, though. We want to know the percentage of our viewers, and I'm talking all 6 of you, who is ordering food or drink before they go in to see a movie. Because dude, I never get a popcorn. I never get a soda. God bless you. I'm never doing that. Do you guys
I get a popcorn every time.
You
I'm
always,
it's a problem.
See, like,
it's a
I
problem.
should. Because I feel
No,
like
I shouldn't.
Do you think popcorn or soda or any like candy or
I
sweet
sneak
treat
in- I
makes
sneak-
the movie better?
I sneak in a water or a
Yeah, call
seltzer.
in, folks. 201-644-80.
No, I'm asking you guys.
I sneak in a soda or a water or a LaCroix every time. I refuse to pay for that, but I buy a popcorn every time.
I will say that, yeah, Dana and I had a Gatorade vodka, and I'm proud of us.
And some White Claws.
Well, I brought 6, and we only
And it was a Tuesday.
We drank 1 White Claw, okay? So that's progress. It's our birthday week.
Yeah.
All right, it is. All right.
All right.
Gatorade vodka.
Brendan, do you anything noteworthy before we move on?
Yeah, so I did go to I saw the movie where I'm from, which is in north central New Jersey. It was more crowded than I'd like it to be on 1:30 on a Monday, but
Oh
It
no,
was
a
about-
horror movie with fans.
I was mad. The seats didn't recline. They weren't like the
What?
plush
I
leather
would've loved
that.
electric
Sucks.
recliners. But anyway, the crowd was silent and it was great until the third act. This dude busted out a couple sticks of juicy fruit and he was slapping
Speaking
it.
loudly.
He was slapping his gums.
Slapping
and he's
it.
right next to me, and I was like, "Dude, you were so
Slapping
good.
some
You were so
juicy
good the
fruit.
whole movie." And I had to get up, and I pretended that I had a phone call. You ever do this? No one has ever done this. I pretend I had a phone call where I rushed out of the movie theater, but I actually don't go through the door.
Oh, you just
and I'm
get
just in the
another seat?
wing, like because there's that divide.
Because you're worried that he would get mad if you move seats.
Well, I didn't want to be offended.
I can't believe some JF was getting smashed.
So anyway,
around.
I pretend I have a phone
is
call,
so
and then I go
polite.
back in. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
spoil their viewing experience, so I'm just gonna sit really like in the front row, and I watched the last like 15 minutes of the movie just in that front row.
This,
And it was so stupid.
all right. We're not only going to have an alcohol intervention here. We're going to have a full mental health one.
Well, if you haven't figured that one out by episode 22, then I don't know what's going on.
Speaking of interventions, I'm going to intervene into the next segment, which is we're going to each go around, give our own synopses in one sentence and one sentence only, and then we will read the official one to contrast so everybody knows what the movie is about. I'll go first. I told Abby earlier, I was really proud of this one. Call me like Kendrick Scamar.
Scamar? Because you're
Kendrick Tramar.
Oh, trauma?
I don't know. I haven't. We'll workshop
Just
that.
fucking
Yeah.
read the thing.
All right. All right.
I'm joking.
Trauma is
Oh,
a dish best served binged and purged.
okay.
You get it?
He's really excited if you're not watching.
Trauma is trauma is a dish best served, binged, and purged. If you watch the movie, that
Usually
makes
you'd
sense.
play on the word cold there because, blank is a dish best served cold.
Can we Foley in some crickets?
I don't think we need to.
It only okay.
All right. It's
All
all
right,
right.
well,
We're
with
proud
that-
of you. It's
Wait,
not
that's
bad.
it?
Yeah.
He
Man,
stole-
that was short and sweet. No,
he
no,
stole my
I
short
actually
and sweet
respect-
thing.
So
I
I'm
love
the
that.
poet. You're the
Listen. I
synoptologist.
take it all back, dude. I
And
love it
Abby
because
is-
it was so short, and I thought you were gonna go on after that, and that it was beautiful, dude.
was
I loved
lyrical, I
I
thought.
it was lyrical, miracle coming back with the spherical, jirical. It's different.
Nobody appreciates it, but like thinking about with the movie.
Yes.
No, it was good. I
right.
just thought I was waiting
can't
for
without
something.
purge. Spoilering
Listen, we'll get into the spoiler room.
But
and
best
how
served
great
mint
that one
purged,
was.
the internal, external, like, you know.
Okay, Brandon, you'd go.
So my synopsis goes as follows. After finding their father dead in the shower, step-siblings Andy and Piper are brought under the care of Laura, their foster mother, who seeks to use Piper as a vessel for her dead daughter's soul.
That was good. It was very much what happened in the movie.
You know who I want to hear from? Is my boy Abby. He always has the short ones, and he always got the onomatopoeias.
What's funny is Will very politely asked me today, like, yo, write your synopsis. And I was like, sick. And I actually did prepare for this episode. And I just realized I looked down at my printed out page and all I wrote was write synopsis. But let's see. Synopsis is crazy ass foster mom is cooking up a demon baby.
Love that.
That's perfect. I will say the official one is even shorter than we usually have. A brother and sister uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. Bang.
Short and sweet.
Bang.
And that's it.
That's really vague. I like how vague that is. I mean, even the demon baby, it's like, is that a spoiler? Again, it's not because it's in every synopsis, but it's like that is something that is revealed.
Okay, so yeah, I mean that takes us into our initial discussion where we're gonna put baby in the corner.
What's that from? $1 Million Baby? What's it from? Don't put baby in the corner? Dirty Dancing. It's a quote from Dirty Dancing.
Okay.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Well, we do. That's what we're gonna do right now with this segment that we call Baby in the Corner, where Abby, our resident infant,
And person that just found out what that quote comes from 20 episodes into the show.
is going to lay out the scariness of the film in various components, frights, jump scares, gore, terror, angst, whatever you want. And it's all going to roll up into one big fat Binkymeter.
Oh, this Binkymeter is going to be so fat, dude.
After that,
So suckable.
Abby, take us.
Baby in a corner, baby in a corner. So this is full circle, as Will's intro suggested. And I thought it'd be interesting. So I want to start visual for anybody on YouTube's. I want to start actually by barometering you guys. Was this scarier to you, or equal or less scary than Talk to Me? Would you say?
I thought it was less scary.
Okay, just
I
as
thought
binary,
it was more uncomfortable.
but less scary.
The way I mean, I was going
Okay,
to say this.
you're too much.
Abby,
Can't answer it
why
straight.
can't I? This is just the way I described it was, when you're on a drive with like an Uber or somebody that makes you really nervous, and you have your hand on the thing and one leg that doesn't fully ever
Yeah, and your bladder's
rest
like
on the
itching.
ground. Yeah, it was like that kind of the whole time.
I agree. Uncomfortable. Okay.
Was it more or less scary than Talk to Me?
I think it was more disturbing.
Okay.
That's not the question.
Easy, yeah.
Well,
This guy's ready for first
Just
take on
answer the
ESPN
question.
or politics.
Was it
Could be.
This is
more?
the whole
Just
point.
listen to me. Was it more or less scary than Talk to Me? Yes
All right,
or
now
no?
ask me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a yes or no, but was it more or less scary than Talk
Yes.
to Me?
I define scary in multiple ways. Are you talking about
So you don't know.
like from a jump scare
Okay.
scary, or from a disturbed, unsettled scary?
We've
That's-
digressed.
Dubs is conflicted.
So I was wondering if it would be a
why the
1-to-1, because it'd be interesting if you guys said it was about the same, because then I wanted to see if I've grown, how much I've grown since the beginning of the podcast in terms of my immersion therapy. But
I think it was scarier.
oh, he said it. All right, that makes sense for
just
you
to
because
make
it's
you angry,
more
I
disturbing.
think.
So my answer is that this was a scary movie. It was much less scary to me than Talk to Me, and I can't tell. I think some of that has to be remembered that we've watched 19 fucking horror movies since then. So that's important. However, I think that also to keep that comparison alive for another second, that's like Talk to Me was just so dark and classic jump scary. And I see, to your point, like you've been watching these for years and years. You have a lot of barometers into what scares you or what doesn't scare you, but is scarier. So Talk to Me is definitely more scary in that way because
in
it's
a
dark,
traditional scary-
jumpy. Exactly. It's not
I
like
meant-
gross. This was
Like,
gross,
uncomfortable,
horrific.
Like I think there are a lot of words you could use to describe Bring Her Back. There's a lot of words that you can use to describe Talk to Me. But if you're using the word scary, I personally would say that Talk to Me was scarier than Bring Her Back.
Which
But
one's
if you
more
want to use
horrifying?
different words,
Yeah, I'd say
horrifying,
Talk to Me. I would say this
think
is more
Talk-
horrifying. I think this is more horrifying.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do think that the Binkymeter, as you evolve and become less quote unquote scared in your like this the darkness definition or whatever, we have to provide a multi-layered description of all these components.
The Binkymeter is not a cheerocracy, and it's a oligarchy because it's me. And so, like, we're talking about me, which is not the same as everyone. Because, like, for me, gore is disturbing and can be intense, but it's not scary to me, like, at all.
I agree with
Like, scary to me is dark,
Right.
quiet, loud, but whatever. So this movie, again, so my growth has existed, but this movie brought me back down to earth and realized, like, okay, I'm not over this shit. I'm so scared. And also just the general shit still scares me. AMC had the light on for like a little extra second before the movie started. And I was like, just leave the lights on, dude. We don't need to go dim the lights for this. And it's obviously like, as a person that loves cinema, obviously I'd be against that, but I'm just still such a little baby. So it came out. It was fucking scary. There's some gruesome, gory shit that fucked with me, but again, that doesn't count in my scares. So, but it was scary. there was one of the darkest, most intense scenes. I was like really having trouble. I noticed I was checking my watch a lot, which is a sign of like me being scared. And then like right when I needed it, I just heard that nice crack of a Will White Claw next to me, and I was like, that's funny.
Snap
Did
you
you-
right back
yeah,
to reality.
that was
Did you
that.
hear me like grappling with
Yeah.
the right time to like? I was like, can somebody make a
and then,
noise in the movie?
And then
That's his tell when things are scary.
And then I got too impatient.
So everything's always scary, I guess.
I guess what I want to know
the
is
knife scene, is that what you're talking about?
No, but
Okay,
that was
okay.
oh my god.
As this-
That's the one that sticks with me.
what the what
The knife. We'll get to that in the spoiler
Oh,
room,
yeah.
but the
So-
sounds in some of this movie.
In my opinion,
ADR,
the
yeah.
most horrific moments of this movie were more horrific than the most horrific in Talk to Me. But I
oh,
actually
for sure.
in a vacuum. But I think Talk to Me, the moments were so crucial. You're like more attached to what was happening,
Right.
In my opinion,
Right.
that they like affected you more. But
And also just
in
again,
just isolated scares, if you showed this, in my opinion, to somebody who had never seen a horror movie before and should talk to me, they'd be like, "That was the most fucking disgusting." Like,
yeah, disturbing.
horrifying.
It's disturbing and horrifying versus scary, I think, is sort of the separation here. So in terms of scary, the last thing is we look back at some old numbers. We're crunching some numbers around here, around the TMB studios, and there's a lot of numbers that are worth changing where we sort of live life on the edge of our pants, the seat of our edge. We're edging. And I rated Talk to Me an 8 in the scary meter, and I think that was because it was the first episode, and
Binkymeter.
I was too scared. Yeah, in the Binkymeter, I was too scared to go extreme, which is a theme we'll talk about later too, about ratings. But I think looking back, that's at least an 8.3. Talk to Me. This movie, I'm going to give it a Binkymeter for Abby's Binky, which again, disturbing it was, but that's not what binks me out. I'm going to give this a 7.9 on the Binkymeter.
So my
right.
question going forward, as you instead of try to think of what scared you before, and maybe we evolved as you no longer being scared, but sort of the expert on scare
Yeah.
factors.
Yeah.
This is what is an interesting conversation, because when you think of horror movies, right, we're no longer talking about what scares you the most. There are so many other factors, like what makes you uncomfortable, what makes you feel uneasy. And I think there's a movie for every person. Like there are horror movie fans that like that, you know, the gore, the gratuitous violence. There are a horror movie audience that likes like the ghouls, the ghosts, the goblins, and the witches, and like the kind of the sort of throwback classics when you're talking the pantheon of horror movies and stuff. And I think when I was analyzing this, when I was looking at this movie, I was like, okay, this is different, because it's interesting when you have a director and you've seen two of their movies, their first two movies, and you're like, oh, these are very different, and they affected me very different. I enjoyed both these movies, but just emotionally watching them, I had completely different reactions.
Yeah. So
But
different.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
No.
It's like, and I feel like there's like a microcosm of how people experience horror movies, and the genre is so multifaceted, and so like, yeah.
Well,
No,
you
I
were-
think that's well said.
While you were talking, and this kind of like ties us all together, I was thinking about the semantics of when somebody says, "Oh, do you want to watch a scary movie?" It sounds like it kind of weakens and belittles the genre. Like,
Yeah.
a scary movie,
Yeah.
horror movie sounds sophisticated. But when you talk about what you want from a horror movie, especially Brendan, we're always talking about chasing that adrenaline. You'd rather be scared than horrified. But I do think that
Horrifying has its own
hor-
merit.
to me now, I think that it's easier to get satisfaction from that, because
Yeah,
it
we can
really
tell.
is hard to get scared.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's way harder to get scared than it is to be like unsettled or creeped out.
Right, because anyone can creep you out.
Yeah, it's like to me,
look,
there are
blood and guts and
yeah.
an intestine, and now there's a baby involved, and like,
Yeah,
I'm
and
disturbed.
it feels like low hanging fruit
Yeah.
in a way. And I feel like this movie wasn't guilty of that, but like there were moments where like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, it's like kind of like they're just trying to make us squirm, as opposed to like creating a scenario where they could hit us with a scare that
Yeah, Talk to Me was so tight. We were talking about.
Would you agree if you were given the choice of experiencing the sensation in its most extreme right now, you'd rather be like scared shitless
Yeah.
than horror? Because we don't.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and I just think that's funny that a scary movie sounds like a bad thing, where
Well,
horror
that's-
movie sounds like a good. Like,
I mean, we're existing a bit. You know, this podcast has a lot of merit, but we are existing in what they say is like this sort of new era where, for the first time, who said it? Some famous directors that we've talked about. It's like, it's the first time that it's like, it's not like horror movies and then real movies. Like we are finally at a point where it's like really accepted. Obviously there's been the greats. We've done Exorcist, we've talked about Shining, but like those were sort of thought of as their own movies because they didn't make sense to be in just
Once
the
a
horror
decade
category.
kind of thing
right. And
instead
now
of
it's like
multiple
become a
times a
lot
year,
more
yeah.
normal. And this, so I think this was more disturbing than scary, and that's why it's a 7.9. I was still scared. I was never comfortable in this movie, but I wasn't. Talk to me like I think back, and I think I talked about this. Like, I was scratching myself a little bit, like just like some just uncomfortability in that movie, and I like really had to fight to look up. Versus this was like disturbing as fuck, and I was scared, but it wasn't like that above and beyond level. What comes home with you is where the disturbing and intense do creep into my rubric, but they're not front and center the way that dark and jump scare.
How does the 7.9 Binkymeter score sit with other?
So Talk to Me was an 8, but I moved it up to an 8.3 in comparison. You know, I had like When Evil Lurks, which really came home with me. That was in the high 8s. Oddity is the highest I've actually rated so far in these.
That was scary.
That was really
That was the
fucking
closest
scary.
I've had to being
I
scared.
didn't realize you could move things willy nilly post.
Oh, rules are out the window, baby.
Stuffing the ballot box.
Wait,
anyway.
I do not remember
It's a
your
woke
entire
mind
stance
virus.
on
The
this.
election fraud.
Okay.
Joking. All right, let's move on to the next.
Wait.
section.
There
of
is
this
one
pod.
thing that we're reintroducing that we haven't done in a while, and it's just simply binary.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you recommend this movie? And I
Yeah.
would.
Yes.
Yes, I would too.
Okay. Great. All right. Now, I guess it's a better time than ever to.
Creepy, 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 creepy. The spoiler room.
Whoa.
Boo.
We're in here. This is a room where we spoil stuff. But first, Abby's going to very quickly run through a summary of the film so that everybody knows what it's about.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the major talking points.
This is partially for Sam Galanis. Shout out to those folks that don't want to watch the movie. So yeah, real quick. Wait, but the first funniest thing about this movie is, did you guys notice that it started by saying, this is not a cult, and then had some things, and I thought it was a production company. That they were, was that a production company, or was that
So
part
this-
of the movie?
This pissed me off a lot because
Because they do a bunch of production companies. It's a classic Family Guy joke where it's like 19 production companies in a row.
So you know how usually the way, if they're gonna do this in like a edgy way, it's like they do the production companies, but it's like silence, and then slowly they
Searchlight
do the
and Indian
diegetic,
paintbrush. Yeah.
I think noises of the movie.
Yes.
Over the production, but they did just one production company, and then flash to this is not a cult.
So was that in the movie?
Ooh, I
Yes.
missed the first 10 seconds of the movie.
This is
Okay.
not a cult. Then another production company, 2 or 3 more, then back into the VHS.
Right. So
Strong opening, in my opinion.
strong opening for sure. Very scary. Very fucking scary. As I'll tell you, baby boy, I was scared as absolute shit at the beginning. But that's so funny that it was like, I didn't even know if this was a production company. But so it starts with creepy video footage of some occult satanic shit, some big old beer bellies, some nasty shit going on, very vague Eastern European vibes, dark, dingy basement, Blair Witchy style stuff. Then it cuts to real life, beautifully shot, like Talk to Me was as well. These very modern filmmakers, as we know, they're younger than us. So it's Andy, a brother, a late teen, and his sister Piper, who's like a impaired vision, lazy eye. They're hanging out. Their dad died in the shower. The least fun hanging dong scene we've had so far in many hang
Wasn't
dong.
actually hanging in this case.
I mean, it was laying there.
it was a laying.
It was a
he
laying dong.
dong.
It was a laying
It was a laying dong. It was-
Also, I
We all know
remember
it. We
leaning
all
over and
remember.
being like, "Did we get a cause of death?" And you said something to me about cancer.
Yeah, they said, she was like, but he said the chemo was good. So,
Oh.
yeah.
So yeah, but
he had cancer.
Oh, so that
But-
could have caused the
yeah,
slip and
it's a
fall.
slip and fall. That's what I thought was implied.
Gotcha.
I'd be
I was
listening.
trying to have a "I got you" moment, and I didn't get you.
So they're orphans now. They're like, oh, we found this woman for you. Her name's Laura, but she doesn't want you, the boy, just the girl. He's like, nah, I gotta stay. We're homies. Oh, and we also know Piper's like sassy fun. Like she's impaired, but she ain't sad about it. She's cool as fuck. So then they go to this creepy foster mom's house. At first you're like, is she? I don't know. She's the woman from Shape of of water. Then she's like, oh yeah, and I got this mute other son named Oliver who's creepy as fuck. And that's when the movie's like, yo, this shit's creepy as fuck. Very Speak No Evil vibes. There was some of that. And then we find out that Laura, the foster mom, also had a daughter that died recently from a drowning. So that was fucked. And we're like, yeah, some real shit's gonna shit. And then we start realizing that just like they had the social worker had suggested, Laura, the foster mom, clearly cares more about Piper and is very intrigued by Piper and doesn't really want Andy, the older brother, there at all. She starts doing weird sabotaging shit, including peeing on a cup and pouring it on his pants to make him think he's pissing himself. Some wild shit. Then we start seeing her turning on some VHS tapes, watching the satanic rituals that we saw at the beginning. So now we're like, okay, we get it. She's trying to do some shit, but we don't know exactly what it is. But there's obviously the weird Ollie kid is involved. He's mute. He's walking around. He's fighting with a cat. We'll talk about that later. I didn't get that, but the point was to show he's fucking out there and weird, and he's mute. Then it sort of gets revealed that the satanic shit that she's planning is Laura is trying to use Ollie to connect to a demon in some ritual in which he is now building some. What you said this better before.
Basically, the way the ritual works is if you have this third party vessel that is hosted or guided by a demon, it can consume, or I said binge, the corpse of the deceased.
So it eats the dead. So this child is made. Oliver is made to eat the dead Kathy, who we reveal is now sitting in a freezer.
That's
then
we're trying to
bring her back. Get it? That's the title.
So Ollie is basically there to eat Kathy.
He's a conduit.
Yeah.
And then purge Kathy. That's
AKA
why
vomit out.
So that's why he looked prego, because he ate so much Kathy, and then purge into Piper's mouth while she is being killed in the exact same
recreating
manner.
the death
Yeah.
of Cat.
So that synopsis.
Pretty straightforward shit.
Trauma is a dish best served binge and purge, baby.
So yeah, and then we see this mirrored in the VHS tapes, which again were some of my favorite parts in terms of fear, showing that these Russian or whatever Eastern European group that had done it, they did it. Like the woman screaming, there's a kill, there's a purge, they vomit into the mouth, but then you see them hugging, and it's supposed to be shown like, oh, they brought back this dead soul into the sacrifice's body. Okay, so then Andy starts realizing some real shit's going down. He goes to try to get help from the social worker. He also realizes when he's there that Oliver is not Oliver at all. He's a kidnapped boy that is still missing named Connor Bird. So he convinces the social worker to go back. They go try to stop Laura. At first, Laura like pulls it all together, and we have that classic horror movie moment where she cleans up and everything looks normal again. And we're like, oh no, Wendy, the social worker's like not even going to realize I'm going to come back and like gaslight Andy. But then it becomes very clear that Laura doesn't have it handled, and you're like, oh yay, they're going to go tell the real cops. And it's like classic propaganda, gotta call the cops, ACAP. But then Laura just comes out and fucking kills them both, including ending Andy's life specifically with a drowning, which is, relevant. And then she's ready to do the ritual, and fucking Oliver's full on beer bellied up. He's ready to purge. He's ready to burge. And then she grabs Piper. She has to drown Piper now. So she's trying to drown Piper. Piper's trying to fight back, but she's a little impaired. She's having a little trouble. She's about to drown her. And then Piper sort of gets free for a second and uses a great psychological warfare by saying, Mom, really getting at Laura's deepest wound here. What Laura's doing this whole thing to try to do is bring back her daughter. By saying that, Laura sort of breaks. We don't exactly know if she like realizes that what she's doing was wrong. It's sort of implied that, but it also could be that for a second maybe she thought her daughter was there. Whatever it is, it works. Laura breaks down in time for Piper to get out. The cops come, people come to help, and then there's a final shot of showing Laura lying in the fucking pool like barely full at all with the dead Kathy body all fucked up, and then Connor and Piper are both rescued. That's the movie.
All right, so from a filmmaking, production, acting, everything, editing, sound, let's talk.
The Philippou Brothers, clearly they make some beautiful shit, very well shot. They do some interesting camera stuff, and the acting was great. That's another big thing that cannot be forgotten about with a lot of classic horror movies being bad acting. Like, these were all great. Laura, well, like I said, she's from Shape of Water. She's always plays like a little quirked
Sally
up on
Watkins.
the sauce. Yeah, and she's a real fucking...
The title, The Shape of Water. Meanwhile, visual motifs, which we'll talk about later.
A lot of water in this movie.
Circles and water, dude. And circles are a shape, and there's water.
Circles are a shape.
Dude, this
Look
is
at
groundbreaking. This is New York Times groundbreaking shit. Sora Wong, though, the girl that played Piper.
Oh my God.
She
Oh,
had
you did look up her
zero
name.
acting experience before this movie. Her
Really?
mom found a Facebook ad that was posted and drove her daughter to try out for this movie.
Said you look blind.
Zero experience because the Philippou brothers were looking for someone that was either blind or had some visual impairment.
So she really did. That wasn't acting.
She has two different conditions. What was described in the movie, she's like, I can see shapes and light, but I
Right.
can't see any like actual like.
Which is what Brendan sees because he doesn't wear glasses.
Yeah. I'm gonna kill you guys. I thought she was maybe the highlight of the movie in terms of her like the way you immediately love this character because
Yeah,
she's
so
outside the bus
likable.
stop, she's getting made fun of, and then she is just like tough. She's like a
Yeah.
tough kid,
And the
who
accent's
owns
always
her-
fun.
Yeah,
I'll try.
I also thought Andy was great as like a likable mix of like trying to be protective but also vulnerable and has clearly PTSD.
Yeah.
I really thought he was great.
He was great. I don't think anyone was bad, honestly. And I thought, yeah, Laura, obviously the mom was like a highlight. I just wrote down like one scene where she's just like at the end when she's like trying to kill Piper and Piper's aware of it finally. And she just goes from like having to do it. And she just has a moment where she just like goes like, please let me do this. And it was just like, this is such a cool, like that's really good directing and acting both because it's like taking a step away from just the binary sort of like evil, not evil, like way that a lot of people write.
It was complex.
It was complex and it was like a real moment of vulnerability. And you're like, wait, yeah, she does just want it. But what she wants you to let her do is murder a child.
Yeah.
Like two
She
children.
struggled, like she didn't enjoy because she loved Piper.
Right.
Like even the scene when she hits Piper in the
Yeah.
face, you can clearly she's like souping herself up to do
Yeah.
something awful.
Right,
And
right.
that scene was intense. Sally Watkins obviously was fantastic, but the funny thing, the one thing that I wrote down was that I thought Ollie was so good. Like this, just
Yeah, he's actually the son. The flashback. He's actually the son of the father in the movie, the actual son.
That actually makes me feel a lot better because we've talked about sort of the morals of child acting before.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, there's some arguments there is no moral way to have a child actor like do intense scenes because it's like they're a child. The point is their brain can't fully separate it as much as they're taught. This one I was really worried. I was like, this kid is doing some twisted shit.
Yeah.
I looked it up. I was like, please be like an older person that has some Benjamin Button. Nope, it was a 12-year-old.
12,
But
yeah.
but to hear that there was at least a family member was
to
involved
that
on
point,
set.
they also had on-set coaches that dealt specifically with child actors on set to deal with these like kind of traumatic scenes in the movie. And apparently, this actor Jonah Phillips.
the
Yeah.
actual.
He was so into it that he was like, this movie actually needs more blood. And he's like, and the Philippou brothers were like, Jonah, there's a
yeah,
lot of blood in
dude,
this
that's what I'm
movie."
saying. I
And
think
they-
it's a
yeah.
bit immoral, honestly.
But like
they
he
were
was so
probably
into-
like, no, keep saying that, kid.
Yeah.
This is gonna kill.
But like his parents were on set. They had on set,
Yeah.
coaches and stuff. But I thought the most effective part of this movie was the fact that the Philippou brothers have this ability to ground their movies and plots like in reality. You feel like you're watching actual characters. Even though there are supernatural elements to it, you feel like you're watching a real scene play out in real life. You know,
No,
like
yeah.
these characters are relatable, like
Super
like,
relatable.
and the way they build Laura's character out, and,
Yeah.
and it's sort of you see there's not there something's not quite right with her immediately. Just how they build it, it's very slow burn. I just thought the writing was really well done, and it didn't even feel like a horror movie to me. It felt like just like a creepy,
Intense
drama.
like thriller.
Yeah, intense like yeah.
So I have something about this. A little dubs to the tail. So now twice we would say they've probably very successfully created these self-contained, let's call it ghost stories, horror stories with their own independent lore.
Yeah.
And applied it to what feels like what would happen with these rules
Yes.
in the real world. However, it has been confirmed these two movies, Talk to Me,
Same world?
same cinematic
Yeah.
universe.
No.
And the Talk to Me sequel is somehow it's open for connection.
No.
Also, Laura is not dead. She went to jail. Don't know what that means. Don't know what Ollie's doing. Talk to Me sequel is already being made. I just thought that was interesting.
We should also take a moment to say, like, these guys are really good young filmmakers. I have a lot of faith, but also, like, I hope we're not, but it's possible that we're catching them on that moment that everyone's going to look back on. Because, like, The idea of a Talk to Me sequel. I mean, again, you guys said Conjuring 2. Like, I'll try that out. Like, is a good sequel.
Good.
But like, a lot of the movies we talk about have bad sequels. We can all admit that.
You know what's funny is what they were signed on to do was a Street Fighter movie.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen.
Originally, yeah.
Yeah, so thank God that they got to make another one of their stories.
Duking right through that.
Let me just say one thing that I noticed in the fact that I was always wondering, like, why did they want a character that was visually impaired? Like, how are they going to?
Right.
And obviously, like, this person is so vulnerable. But you see, like, when they discover Piper and Andy discover their father on the floor. She's the one that like jumps into action, tries to like
he
give
panics,
CPR. He's the one that
was
panics.
so horrific, dude. She has the like pus on her mouth when she's trying to like do mouth
which
to
I
mouth.
liked because I didn't want Piper to be the eternal victim throughout this whole movie.
No, and that was like a big part of her.
But at the same time, it's like being visually impaired and having these scary, crazy events happen around you throughout the entire movie. It's like there were these shots that kind of put us, the viewer, in the shoes of Piper, like looking through, rain-drenched window panes,
blur,
and stuff.
a lot of
or
blurry.
like when you first walk into the foster home and you can't see Laura's character because it's so blurry. Like, and then you have like also scenes where it's a lot of reflections, or like you're looking through the bathroom mirror and you're seeing Ollie kind of morph into this demon, or you're looking out by the pool and the rain is kind of like fogging the way Ollie looks, and you see horns. Maybe I don't see horns, but it's just like adds to this like paranoia and uncertainty and like feeling of dread.
I think that's a perfect segue into like talking about the visual filmmaking themes and styles. The first thing that struck me was from a film school point of view and doing production, it's like everybody loves nowadays these really shallow depth of field. That's like the look. Even the NFL is playing with doing shots like that, where like only the thing right in front of you, the subject is in focus, everything else is out.
MLB too. Yeah.
And now it's like, this was such a cool place where they did it, and it was sort of like her point of view because she can't see things that are far away. It's a lot of blur. I thought they did a really cool job with that and that really shallow depth of field. I actually thought that and I could be wrong because I thought it was a beautiful movie, I thought that they underplayed it a little bit. I thought they could have done.
This is what I really wanted to say is it's so easy to create this mechanism for horror where she can't see it.
Right.
How fucked is that going to be, right? How scary could this be for this girl who literally is dropped into a horrifying situation and can't actually see what's happening? And instead, she's kind of a badass, and if anything, it ends up playing kind of for jokes. Like, she's very resilient and fights, and if anything, she just like runs into doors and shit. But it's never like
that's a good point.
Having to deal with the horror of not being able to see something coming and then it coming. Like, they play with it at the beginning with her dragging her hands across walls and him holding her hand and, I don't want to use my cane. Like, trying to, the opposite of empower her. Like, strip her of, set her up for being this very vulnerable thing that she ends up not being, and her lack of vision really just ends up being like literally like she tries to run and runs into shit.
She runs into shit a lot and falls at the end. I saw you.
Hilarious,
yeah,
actually.
I saw you. All of us in the theater were like, no, not again. God damn it, Piper. But again, they do good. That's a good point. Maybe what I'm picturing is a little too nail on the head.
No, but I think that's part of it,
I did
too.
think they could have done a little more of that cool depth of field stuff to really play with the fears. But again, maybe that's too easy.
I actually think the blindness ties more into the concept of trauma than it does horror, in the sense that like you don't see what you don't want to, or
which was
like not dealing with things.
The relationship with their brother.
We're going to get to the overall themes, but to continue with like visual, like not just filmmaking, but like motifs. The two big ones that I wrote down are circles and water, and I joked about Shape of Water, but circles and water. Like, do you think there's like I mean, the movie has so many different ways that they show circles, and circles is how she controls Ollie. And then water, the movie starts with the noise, blah, 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 blah. And, there's water everywhere. Rain, showers. The shower is the trigger for PTSD for Andy. For Andy. Like, the way they shot those two things? Yeah. Any thoughts about?
And they just a real quick one is like the first and sort of only really weird out there shot in the movie is when they get to Laura's house. The camera goes through a little metal, like, garden decoration that is a metal circle. You remember that? The camera like goes through it in Dutch angles through it. It's very out there. It's like almost like a little cheesy. It does this weird camera move through a circle, and I was like, okay, well, we clearly got some circle themes going on.
We
didn't really get it yet.
Well, I mean, if you really want to connect, circles and water, the most obvious connection would be the water cycle, the hydraulic cycle, which
Precipitation?
is the continuous movement of water on, above, and below the surface of the earth. I don't really want to go back to 5th grade. Water falls, it evaporates. In the water cycle,
it's the
it
circle
falls
of
again.
life, dude. I've
So
seen Lion King.
I mean, it really is kind of like this symbol of birth, death,
Continuity, yeah.
rebirth.
Well, if you want to get really,
So I mean, that's what you're bringing back.
Yeah,
you're bringing back
yeah.
something that has already been, metaphorically speaking, has died.
True.
And you want it to rise again. So water, could kind of be a symbol.
Interesting.
For that
I didn't connect
journey.
the water in circles.
I had circle as like the circle of life as trying to control the circle of life, quite literally,
Right.
like using the circle to control it, and like everything that you just said. But I didn't think about the circle of agua.
Yeah,
Cito.
that's super
Sometimes we
interesting.
talk about circle agua, and sometimes it's actually pretty fun.
the
Dasani.
water stuff too, just some of the scene, like the chillingness, and they used it different times of a drained pool with
yeah.
a little bit of a puddle at the end. Knowing that someone died in that pool is so fucking creepy.
The one place water
oh
is
my God.
supposed
to be. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I also loved plot wise. I think we'll get into some flaws I thought with the plot and a lot of opening things that they didn't close to. But one that I thought they did a great job of is early on, she's checking the weather to see when the rainy day is. And you're like, that's going to come back, but I don't understand how. And then she paints a little line on the pool with the white paint that she used to draw the huge circle around the house. And that also, you knew it was going to come back. And unlike some other things that in this movie, but to be fair, a lot of horror movies don't actually get tied up. Those were both tied up perfectly. They made perfect sense to the movie that she was waiting for the big rain day to fill up the pool naturally. And she needed the pool to fill up to that line, which I assume was whatever the line it was when Kathy died or something like that. But I was like, that was great writing.
Because she had to
I think
recreate
that-
the same circumstances. When
Well,
Kathy
the
died.
line also I thought was like the area with which she can control Ollie. So if Ollie was coming in to vomit,
Oh,
into her-
interesting. Yeah, that
well,
that
because
works
the
too.
white line was
Right,
the,
he
the
can't leave
area
it.
of,
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the first establishing shot of the airplane where he goes, that's Dad going to heaven.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the closure.
It's sunny.
grapefruit.
And at the end, when they show the plane and she sees it by herself, I think it was raining.
She doesn't see it.
Well,
She hears it though. She
hears
it. Also, actually, and in that same scene, if you look really close at
was
that,
it raining though?
Yeah,
wanna
it
know
was.
if
It was 100%.
I'm not sure.
It was.
No, those-
And she looks up, and if you look really closely, you can see in the cockpit of that 737, it's Nathan Fielder actually flying that plane. Which is great.
watched-
Nathan
I
Fielder,
haven't
he's a
watched
huge fan of the pod.
I
Yeah.
haven't watched this season.
Okay, so then let's talk about the big thing that this sort of gets into and opens up that I think makes it less tight than Talk to Me, because it opens up a
Totally agree.
very big bag, which is the bag of
Satan
satanic
bag.
ritual. The Satan bag, the classic Satan bag. It's what you get when you're bad at Christmas and Santa doesn't give you coal, he gives you a Satan bag. So that is a lot that they open up, and I think we talked about it, the fear of those VHS tapes, super well shot, super creepy. The idea of a circle, big belly, like people have tried this. They did it better than a lot of people have. Very creepy, the blood, the way they showed death, not too close up, but not too far away. Like, there was just a lot of positives. And then the jump scare in the mirror with where Ollie is a demon or the devil or whatever.
That's where. So I didn't get so much about Ollie, like this establishment. I didn't pick up initially on the rule of him having to be possessed, but once you know that shot holds even more weight and impact, because that's when they first show you that he is
Right. It's
possessed.
real.
But I don't think that Talk to Me did revolve quite literally around a ritual.
I know.
Except it was 90 seconds long.
Yeah.
They tell you the rules. They just say,
Yeah.
here's how it
Yeah.
works. And then they show it to you about 100 times, and that's it. And you know everything.
Yeah.
And in this one, they introduce it to you very cryptically,
yeah.
and you're waiting all fucking
Not enough.
movie.
They didn't do it
Not enough.
Yo,
Yeah.
dude, it drove me crazy that we never got more
Yeah.
of that.
That was the biggest
That's
bane
the flaw,
of
yeah.
this movie. I felt like
Drove me nuts.
they really failed at telling the rules, like explaining the rules of this demonic
The
ritual.
lore. What's the lore?
And, like,
Yeah.
it's talked about through a VHS and through subtitles of these Russian people on the VHS talking about then
Yeah.
this demon eats this person, then purge it. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the circle,
I feel
again,
like it could have
like
been done cleaner and neater.
Totally agree. And the circle, like we said, it's a cool thematic thing, but it's like, why does doing a fucking circle on his forehead like make it work? And why does he, when he runs out of the circle that she's drawn, he like becomes normal and he's okay again? It's like,
but it's not like we didn't get it. We understood.
We got
like,
it,
what
but
happened.
it
So,
just
like,
opened up too many questions.
they
You
opened-
can't open up too many questions and not answer
A
them.
lot of good movies start like that, and they were chipping away at it. They chip, tiny little chips, and then they never carved away and showed you everything.
100%.
I mean, it tickled my oak clitoris, but could not bring me to climax.
And a lot of these movies we talk about do it. So it's only the best of all that can pull that off, that can really make you climax for real. But I did want to just point out a few things that were positive within it, though. I loved when she referred to the devil, demon, whatever, as like, I saw an angel and it's actually helping me. And I was like, that's actually really cool, because again, in the classic like good bad, people like accept the bad, but no, this was cooler because this is like, yo, yeah, that's an angel to whoever. It's all in the eye of the beholder. Like,
yeah.
I gotta pee.
okay.
I came out of
Baby, you're my angel. You're my darling.
Yeah, I think we just knock it out.
Closer than my peeps, you are to me.
Yeah. So I think along with the occult rituals that we're talking about that weren't closed enough, there was just generally many things that weren't closed enough. I have like a list of just questions I wanted to ask real quick if we want to go. So like, what was the deal with the cat? The cat felt like it was going to matter more. It was just to show Ollie was like fucked up, I guess.
So-
but like, why was the cat scratching him? Because he was demon?
Apparently, this was explained, and I didn't catch it because I read about it later. But the possession causes insatiable hunger, and that's why he eats himself.
Right, he
He's
eats
trying to
the
eat-
wood.
and the cat. But the thing is, he also was just strangling the cat.
Yeah.
So I think it was kind of like the knife. It was just
Also,
to
the cat was like running towards him. That cat would never do that.
I think it was
Thing
just to
is,
show he
it-
was possessed, right?
It kind of all comes back to a water cycle. Cats have 9 lives. Cats have 9 lives.
Cats have 9 lives, which is how many
They-
oxidations.
Precipitate, evaporate, and no. I think the cat was sort of, and if you look at sort of old Russian folklore, cats sort of symbolize
Next.
what is good about. No, I don't know. That's a good question. I think what it was trying to do, honestly, and this is not a joke, is you're thinking, oh, immediately this guy,
He's evil.
He's the representation of evil. He's the one we have to like look out for, and they flip it at the end because they realize he's actually a victim. Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like these guys are too smart for that. Like,
Save the cat, dude.
They're
Save
like
the cat.
Okay,
That's not
they're-
really, because
But so if he's possessed, that just gives him a blanket like ability to just show him do fucked up shit, like the knife. Like that doesn't.
yeah, it was
the
weird.
knife doesn't make any.
To talk about
it was
that,
awesome, but
he bites down on a knife. Sharp blade into the teeth. That is one of the most fucked up. That's the thing that stuck by far. That still sticks with me as I.
buy for
And then
cameras.
the table when he bites
And then
on
he
the
bites
table.
into a table.
So
His
by the
teeth-
way,
his tooth flies out. That is horrific. Oh my
those
god!
two
That's
things.
the insatiable
That
hunger.
knife
Yeah.
was a rubber knife. They put metal on it to get like the sound of
sound.
the metal. But then also that table was like especially made basalt, soft wood that had chocolate laced with chocolate.
Oh my
And
God.
he was actually chewing like there was like a very soft
Jesus
wood.
Christ,
and
dude.
he apparently had like the best.
Call
time doing
OSHA,
it.
not
Yeah,
OSHA.
yeah.
What do you call CPS? Call
Yeah,
CPS,
call
dude.
Child
I like the
Protection
movie, but they shouldn't have made him do that. Those are some fucked up things. Okay, some other questions I had. Why did she cut the hair off the dad's dead
what the
head
fuck?
and then fed it to Ollie?
Because he's constantly yearning and hungering for like dead.
But
soul.
what?
But
He's
just
gonna just get a
anything.
little
But
lick of the.
well, that's why
hair?
he's like freaking out. He's like he was made to consume dead.
Right.
Dead things like a dead person. So he's
Just
waiting.
seemed
to
like a
consume-
very small stopgap
Well,
solve.
I think it's explained because like she's trying to set up this like consuming Kathy to then purge
Right,
into
so she's-
Piper,
yeah.
but she hasn't created the circumstances yet. So he's kind of freaking out because like I was created to do this
Yeah,
one
to
thing.
eat, yeah.
So she's sort of satiating him by like giving him
Yeah.
hair from this dead person. You know, that's how I.
But it was
read
just
it.
like it was built. That's fair, but it was built up like it was going to matter more than just that. The making him kiss his dad on the lips was just twisted, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that. That was just.
But also,
I didn't
that's
get
why
that.
that's why Oliver speaks in Andy's voice when he dies because
Right.
he goes and eats him, right? So he's like constantly looking to
Wait,
consume
he
something.
ate
What?
Andy?
Well, you see
he
him
speaks in
dead.
his voice?
Yeah, yeah. And remember,
He speaks in his voice. That's
Remember,
why
because
Piper
Piper's
walks up
like
to the-
Andy, where
touches
and-
his face.
Yeah, he's like, where
Yeah,
are you?
I thought that was in Piper's
and
head.
then Ollie is like he
Yeah.
speaks in his voice the same way he spoke in
so
the father's
creepy.
voice after
Yeah.
eating the hair. So like
Right.
he's just constantly looking to consume dead beings.
he was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Okay. Maybe
Oh, that is cool and scary.
All right,
I just got
Yeah.
shivers.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my
there was
God!
some-
Wait, so when did he eat Andy? I guess when she was trying to carry Andy in the house.
Well, she probably
Yeah.
carried it from the driveway,
right, and then
in,
Ollie
and
got
then
in.
he
Yeah,
was just around,
yeah.
and then he
he'd be eating.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay, I have a. Can I do
Yeah.
one unanswered question? Why make Andy die of drowning
That's like on my list.
if it doesn't come back?
I whispered to Will, I thought it was going to be this perfect twist where
Yeah.
Ollie's going to purge into his mouth now, and he becomes Kathy because he did.
I agree.
drown.
I thought his death was there was no point to it.
No. And I did like in the darkness versus like normal horror tropes. I like that the concept was he's probably going to die to save his sister, and he actually died for no reason, and that's darker. And I think
Right.
that's fine.
Well,
but then to do the drowning close up as though it's going to connect and then not connect, it felt
Yeah.
lazy. Like
Maybe they're trying to underline the fact that Piper is actually because he was sort of her protector the whole time. He maybe was constricting her autonomy throughout the whole movie by being like the
Right.
protector, and then by getting rid of him, Piper could really kind of own her disability.
Yeah.
and,
No,
like,
I think
be-
killing him.
I don't know. That
killing him
seems-
is fine,
that
but
seems
having
lame.
the close up on the drowning specifically, which is such a theme
Well,
in
yeah.
this movie, felt like why?
I like that he died because it compounds the
Yeah.
theme of trauma. But yeah, Brendan, I think that you just need to get into the metaphysics of the hydroponics
Right.
at play here.
It's really
and
about
understand
H2O. Not
the water cycle, dude.
That when you
The other weird ones. What was the weird Axe body spray? Like 2 to 3 different scenes with Axe body spray.
well,
like,
because
yeah,
he
he likes
uses it
this.
so
Okay,
Sally
'cause Sally's
Watkins
awesome.
sprays herself so that when she punches, what's her face?
Yeah.
smells like his
Yeah.
fist.
Okay, all right. See, this is why
Because
we
you
ask
know
questions.
you'd be putting Axe on your
Yeah,
fist.
That's why
and
she
shit, dude.
smelled him. Oh,
yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
get that.
Also,
I thought
the
she smelled him because he
creatine-
was in there.
The creatine came back into play, right?
Yeah,
Creatine.
creatine.
Which, by the way, creatine, as a former user,
Put any drug
adds,
before.
it adds
it again.
water weight. water weight to your muscles, which is how you.
Oh.
Well, I have a question though.
Drowning on the inside.
So when he woke up with all that spittle on his mouth.
Yeah, what was that?
What was that? No. I think she was
He
actually
had-
drugging him so he would sleep through whatever
Yes, I think so too.
sort
I
of
think so
like-
too because
yeah.
she touched the bottle once. We never saw what she did again.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was waking up with things on his mouth that was not piss. It was like
I think he
foam.
might have been
yeah,
like
from
kind
like
of
a deep sleep.
regurgitating.
I thought it was
throwing up.
piss because he
No.
smelled it.
No.
No. It was
not piss.
Yeah. I think she was basically
This is
sedating him.
this checks out. Okay, this is good. And then the last thing was just that this is more of a comment, but it's like all the shit. Ollie's eating wood. Ollie's eating knives. He barely ate any of Kathy, dude. She's in the pool. She's missing like an eye and a part of her face. I thought he was going to town on
One
her.
that's
person
because-
he's supposed
Yeah, the one
to
person
eat.
he's supposed to eat.
Probably
He's eating
because-
apps.
Well, I think
It had she to be timed
withheld.
perfectly.
Yeah.
She withheld Kathy from
Yeah,
him, dude.
yeah.
And then he gets in
And then
unbeknownst
Andy
to her,
finds- yeah,
right?
it-
He Oliver finds Kathy's body unbeknownst.
I-
to
I'm just
her.
saying it's
That's
funny
what-
that he
yeah.
didn't eat that much of the
No,
person
well,
he was supposed to eat.
But that's the thing is she
Yeah, only the
she
eyeball.
starved him basically.
Right.
She hides him. She locks him in the room.
Right.
He eats a fucking fly. He tries to eat. This actually now makes perfect sense. And then the one moment he does get alone with the thing, he goes from 0 to pregnant times
Yeah,
1,000.
extended, yeah.
So that was because
so fake, by the
she
way.
kept him
I
so.
thought that looked so stupid.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say from the production section that we were in
That looked
earlier.
bad. Did you think
that
that
I
looked
thought the
good?
special effects were. At least it wasn't CGI.
I like the shot around the pool of him walking into the pool.
Yeah.
I thought that continuous shot, that tracking shot, was really cool.
Okay, so then I think those are the questions.
Before we do the screen things, I just want to. There are these couple of cool little tidbit asides that were callbacks to Talk to Me. One, the opening scene is walking into a kitchen, one long shot, him grabbing a knife and using a knife to open a door, which ends up revealing his dead dad, very similar to the brother who's
Yeah.
troubled. Number two, when he's finally alone with Ollie and he tries to give him the piece of paper, he says, "Talk to me."
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Talk to me. Yeah.
That's
That
a
was-
homage.
that was
I
a- that was
can't
a call- that
believe
was a
these are in the
callback.
same universe. That's fucking me up. I don't know if I hate that or love that.
I mean,
The
that's
universe is
based
called
on one-
Adelaide, Australia.
I feel like that's from like
nor.
Darn.
ScreenRant.com. Like, I don't know if it's
Yeah.
like
What are you trying to say about ScreenRant.com?
But yeah, the theme.
They're our new sponsors.
The theme. I mean, this is gonna it's.
This is gonna piss me off.
This is gonna piss Brendan off, dude.
You better.
Oh my
give me a screen thing that I
God.
like.
Have you ever
dude.
seen those they're like a TikTok or the video of
No.
how to make every A24 horror movie, and it's like everything is really about trauma, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, my favorite is when someone's pulling the rubber band off of the to-go container, and it's just like this is the soundtrack to every A24 movie. Although this one, I will say, good horror movies all have good sound. We all know that. That's a TMB classic take. This is a Peggy Hill. We think sound's important, but this one was different sound. It was really important sound, but it was different. It was the knife sound and it was the water.
Yeah.
It was actually different than the classic like weird tones that like Long Legs and other things did. So I just
So I
want
don't
to
know
say
which
that was really cool.
Philippou brother, but like one of the I don't know which one.
Yeah.
He was responsible for like all the sound effects and like for
Axel
example
Foley.
the knife scene like where he's
Yeah,
chewing on
that
the
was-
knife. Like the ADR, like Jonah is in the booth, whatever, recording like the teeth on actual metal and stuff.
it's giving
And
me
he's just kind of chomping on it and stuff. He's like, holy shit. But they also grabbed that from the fake knife. They grabbed the audio from that. He's like, oh, this sounds cool. This sounds good enough. Like, this is anyway.
Interesting.
But,
okay, cool. All right.
can I make a request? Can I have one birthday beer, and then I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna give you my takes, and I want to see what I appreciated about Talk to Me. And I rewatched and I re-listened, and we agreed is that it was actually a good thing that it sort of held your hand through this metaphor about how drugs and addiction are an easy but devastating coping mechanism for grief. And it's not too subtle, but at least it takes you through the process from beginning to completion. You watch the destruction of a susceptible individual get destroyed by leaning on what is fun and easy, which is the drug of this possession. She ends up hurting herself, ruining her own lives, and on the way, a lot of people around her. That was Talk to Me's kind of message about how we deal with grief. In this one, it kind of like the introduction to the possession ritual at the beginning, it felt like they were like, people thought Talk to Me was too on the nose. Let's be a little bit more ambiguous. And as a result, it feel like it never actually accomplished any of these thoughts fully. That said, what I think, this is and I'm curious to see how you guys feel. It is still about processing grief. And we
I
have
think so.
well, but it's a commentary on the ways. If Talk to Me is about drugs and addiction, there's really three scenarios here. You have Laura, the woman who cannot process.
Yeah.
She refuses to process, and the destructive lengths that a person is willing to go when they cannot and will never accept
Which
or
is a great
receive closure.
This is a great plot. Like on its own, that is a great plot. It's like I am in so much pain that instead of dealing with the normal things that we've all dealt with grief, they're really hard. I'm going to get 2 orphans and create a satanic ritual. Like that's great. Yeah.
So in contrast, we have Andy, who has already lost somebody before we even meet Laura, right? And he has PTSD because he didn't actually really like the dad that died, but he's fucked up by it.
Yeah.
We see the PTSD. But what's interesting...
Also, the moms. So there must have been some shit there.
Oh, yeah, we never
they're
even...
2 dead moms.
But what's
2
interesting...
gone moms.
This is probably
2 non-blondes.
the thing that I think I like the most about, if I'm interpreting it correctly, I think what was cool about Andy is that the one person who kind of had moved on, not for a good reason, but was past it, the death, was gaslit the entire movie to feel like he was out of his fucking mind for actually being somewhat reasonable. He was the only
100%.
person who had a natural fucked up reaction. He was fucked up, which is what's supposed to happen.
He was It was a classic example too of like the doth protest too much. It's like she is so like the most extreme version of not dealing with grief that she has the perfect plan. She knows exactly how to use his grief against him and everyone else's lack of understanding. It's a famous thing that Western culture is really bad around grief. We like to shove it away, and she is really good at exploiting that fear that we all have because we all all love to say, like, no, it makes sense. He just went crazy. Like, yeah, like, da-da-da. So, no, I think that's a good point. I was going to say, just to spin into the old, like, trauma and grief are the main Scream theme I saw, too. But I thought connected to that was there was a really cool theme of psychological manipulation. And obviously, she's using that on him. And then what I love about this movie, though, where I did like the little bow, is how does Piper save herself? Through her first use of psychological manipulation, which is she takes Laura's biggest moment and uses it against her by saying "mom," one word. Right. I also think that, like, I really like that twist about Andy being flawed, that Andy did hit her back in the day. You know, again, this movie did a good job of having nuance, like not being binary.
Apparently they had the planned ending was that Kathy actually does inhabit Piper's body at the end of the movie, but they decided, and it was supposed to be like a very scary finale, but their best friend recently had died. And if you look at the end of the movie, there's like they're celebrating like the friend. I forget the name of the guy at the end.
Yeah,
but there's a graphic of him
I
on
saw
the screen.
that. Yeah,
and so they were like, let's end it in a more positive note and stuff. So it was going to end sort of like the way they Talk to Me ended, where Mia's character is like she's dead and she's in Greece somewhere, like playing this game. Anyway, but. Yeah, I think like Talk to Me and this movie have like a huge similarity in that it's like defying the natural order of life and death, right? It's like Pet Sematary. When I think of like Stephen King and stuff. Yeah. It's like you're kind of breaking the rules of, dying, going to some place, whatever, and being pulled back by grief-stricken loved ones. And I think like the Philippou Brothers love this idea, and I think it like goes back to Pet Sematary. And there's a million other works of literature and movies that have done this. But yeah, I felt like Talk to Me was more successful at like kind of driving that point home in this movie. But anyway,
but okay, I think it's time to get to Medicare at Best. Let's get into some reviews, baby.
I have two funny thoughts. This will take 2 seconds. I just wrote down. At the end of the day, alcohol brings everyone together. The drinking scene was funny. Also,
and it made you for 1 second be like, "Is Laura okay?" Wait, that reminds me also real quick. We had in our height of drinking. Oh well, I think some of us are still in it. But we played a game one time that was like the most detached game ever, which was just spin a bottle and then whoever it lands on takes a shot. And we played that once for a while. The other one that I've been trying to invent forever is called Beer Catch. And you just take a can of beer and you throw it back and forth. And then when someone drops it, they immediately have to pick it up and shotgun it. So it squares all over their face. These are games patented by me.
The last two little mini snippets that I wrote down is the safe word, which is a sexual thing generally, is grapefruit, which famously the video of the woman with the grapefruit is the first thing that I thought. Do you know what I'm talking about? The woman who explains how to give the best possible. Yeah. And then lastly,
I don't know if grapefruit's sexual to everyone, Willie. Yeah. I think that might be.
Also water
projecting.
I just wrote down water a theme. Piss? ? Anyway.
Medicare at Best.
Okay, so now let's get into Medicare at Best, which is our segment where, before we get into guessing the tomato scores, we read some of the brilliant minds of our time and their reviews. So, Will, why don't you hit us with one?
So I only picked one this time. This is from Damon. It says, literally one of the worst, in quotation marks, scary movies I've ever seen. It's completely disgusting while not scary at all. The storyline is forced and quite stupid. Acting was hilarious at times. A crazed woman committing child abuse while one of the children literally tears flesh off his arm and eats it. I mean, come on. Awful.
I mean, it's like nothing is wrong except for like you just described something pretty creepy and scary and good acting wise. All right, so let's do Rotten Estimato. This is our segment called Rotten Estimato, where we estimate the tomato meter. That's a play on words between estimate and tomato. Estimato, Rotten Estimato, El Rotten Estimato. Play that theme song. Go.
You are about to find out if we really know what we're talking about. Are we frauds or are we connoisseurs? Here come our Rotten Tomato scores.
I actually haven't seen the Rotten Tomatoes this time, baby.
We're so proud of
you
you.
already know what that is.
Okay, so I think it's going to be lower than Talk to Me, which I think did pretty well, but it's going to be pretty good.
You don't remember what Talk to Me was, so what does that even mean,
I just think it was high. So I'm going to say critics probably like this more than the people. I'm going to say this is an 83. Critics.
Critics, 83? Yeah. That's actually a trash prediction because it's higher than that for sure.
Oh.
I think it's going to be an 80. I think it's going to be. This is actually good because I actually didn't think of it until right now, but I'm going to spurt something out and it's actually going to be really good. This is not what I'm giving it. It's just what I think the critics is getting.
Yeah.
I'm going to say an 87.
Oh, I thought he was
I
going to say
mean, just
6.
by I feel
so
like
bad.
you either choose higher or lower.
Well, yeah, the only other option would be the same.
Well, I knew it was higher than 80. What do you say?
3.
Well, what's important about this segment is we're trying to evaluate this movie in 3 ways. How good was it in terms of what we think the critics thought, what we think the people thought, and what we thought? And now you are saying, what was it?
83.
Critics?
87.
Okay, the answer is 90.
Yeah, I fucked
3
that.
away,
So
almost
you
perfect.
thought the critics
It's
liked
hard
it.
to put a 9 in front of that. I mean, Dubs put ones.
I'm going to be honest.
That.
I think that I was thinking about audience, even though I know I said critic. I was thinking about audience because I knew critics would like this because it was critically good.
I'm personally a little surprised because I thought it was, while it was like a little bit boundary pushing and it clearly the horror with
Acting
the
was
theme,
really good.
I just didn't. I think that it did have a couple of stones unturned.
Can
had
you
a lot
look
of
up?
hot.
Talk to me real
It
quick.
had a lot of
I'll
hot.
look it up.
I think it's like 87.
Had a lot of heart.
That's
It had
my
a lot.
guess.
It had great characters, great
That's my
character
guess.
building,
I don't
great
remember.
dialogue, great acting.
Okay, yeah.
I
So
get it.
sure enough, Talk to Me. I was right to think it was a
92?
little lower. Talk to Me is 94.
Oh,
so yeah, that
okay.
makes sense. If I would have known that barometer, I would have went closer. But okay, all right, cool. So now let's go
Sure
to
you would.
audience.
You know what? This time, just because Brendan got the advantage of going higher or low, Brendan,
that.
you go first.
Snake draft.
Popcorn meter. What do the people think?
This is actually easy
What are the
because
Medicare
I
folks?
am a man of the people, so thus I know exactly what the score is going to be, and that's actually easy because guess what? It's going to be an easy 80. 8.
He's drawing circles.
88. Very
That's
close
high.
to the 90.
That's very high. I think that's
Interesting.
too high because I think I'm going right back to what I should have guessed. What I should have guessed higher for critic is what I think the audience believes. I think it's going to be actually one lower. I'm going to say 82. 82 for audience.
You know what's funny is when you said 80, I thought you
was
nailed
80?
it. It's just 80.
It's 80.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say 82.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it makes sense it'd be lower.
You can't guess these absolute
Yeah.
plebeians.
Yeah, no, well,
these-
that's the
these
Medicare at best.
Casuals.
Folks. The Medicare's, yeah. I mean, not that anybody cares, but if we were going to do the IMDb-bater, it got a 7.6, which I feel like is pretty
That's pretty high. But I also feel like IMDb, it's every good movie's a 7.6 and every bad movie's a 6.4. And that's like their only.
It's
That's
so
it.
true.
It's just those
Now,
two.
there's some 5.9s up in there,
Okay,
bitch.
fine. Okay, so what do we think? What do we think? What do we
and
think?
the spirit of Metacritic is 75.
Do you guys, when you come up with your scores, are you coming up with them before we reach the podcast
I've come up with them
table?
before I even watched a movie.
No.
Honestly.
Okay, here
Can
we
I
go.
give a disclaimer?
No, hold on. I'm curious, Abby. Are you coming up with your score before, or are you kind of basing it
As
off
of recently,
a
I've
collection
been
of-
writing it down before because
Okay,
I
'cause
think
I
I
wrote
was
mine
too
down
easily
before.
biased.
I don't wanna- I
wrote
think we should
mine
do
down
that moving
before.
forward.
I just wait till you guys guess the
I
tomato
know.
meter, and then I put down my favorite
no,
guess.
but I
Dubs gets
actually-
like 13 scores, and then he can
He
like
aggregates.
Yeah,
He's
he
an
can
aggregator,
synthesize. Yeah,
dude.
he aggregates.
He's a Florida aggregator.
He's aggregating. He's
Two men
aggregating
and
me right now.
a guy that gets attacked and argued with.
I actually didn't write down scores until the last like 3 episodes, and now I want to be a little less biased, so I have been writing down my scores before, and my scores
I
are
have a
right
que-
here. It's right here.
Just
you can't see
really,
it.
really quick, Dubs, what'd you give it?
I always go first.
I'll
but-
go first. I gave it. Let me just hear your guys' answers real quick.
Yeah, I was about to say, well, now I'm gonna change
no,
it.
No,
I'll go first.
I gave it. Okay. No,
I
I'll go
will.
first. I want to go first. You go first.
Okay.
I give it 1.0 going first.
I know. You
Abby, I understand what you're saying.
So off mic, we had a little bit of a tiff. Gave the
doesn't
monkey
make
an 8.8.
I hate this show.
Gaslighting me.
My entire point of the argument was
You were too busy hearing your own fucking voice. So hold
All
on.
I did was act shocked.
Yeah, but you're not listening.
Wait, Abe love to fucking
Does the
talk.
number? This is
Explain it
about
as
me
a,
and
as a
you
big
right
boy.
now, Poppy.
Explain it as a big boy.
But that might have been
shocked.
projecting. That might have been a little projecting.
Give your fucking score.
Can I say that you guys? I just took all this heat.
You
Concentrate.
think you listen to what I say more than you actually do.
The fury that is flowing through me right now.
I'm gonna have to edit this. I'm gonna have to edit this. You guys can talk about this after. I'm gonna go first. I am excited to give my score. I wrote it down. No cheating. But I also want to say that in looking back, we have to do a lot of exploring of our old scores because we are all willy-nilly wild about it. We all have different rubrics, whatever. But looking back briefly, I haven't done all my research, but I realized Talk to Me, I only gave Binkymeter an 8.0 and then movie-wise an 8.0. Then I moved it up to an 8.5 on a later episode when I realized how how scared I was to give it a good score because I'm scared. I don't like using up my good scores early. Binkymeter, I want to move that up officially. Everyone that's keeping notes, Binkymeter of Talk to Me is moving up to an 8.3. That's official. Now for my Talk to Me rating, I'm going to move that up from an 8.5 to an 8.6. And then for this movie, which is the same directors, obviously, I didn't think it was as good as Talk to Me, but I still thought it was quite good. I'm going to give this movie an 8.0. So that is my score.
Really low, I feel like.
I know. I liked it, but I felt like that lore shit, as much as they did some of the satanic stuff good, it just made it feel like it didn't stick out as much to me. And I also, again, looking through my scores a little bit, like I'm a bit stingy. So 8.0 is pretty high for me. But, to each his own. And wait, last thing I wanted to say, this sort of was reminiscent of First Omen, which was a little sillier. But I actually, looking back, I think I really like First Omen. I think about it a lot.
I like the First Omen.
I like First Omen. I gave that a 7.9.
What did you give First Omen?
I gave First Omen a 7.9. You gave it an 8.2. Okay, so yeah, we did like it. We'll give it a 6.3. He was over it. Didn't like it as much, which is fair.
I thought First Omen was great.
Yeah.
Now Tiger Free. The Nanny. You guys ever seen The Nanny on HBO?
The original one with Fran
TV
Drescher?
show. No.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, who wants to go next?
Can I first of all, I want to give a score of 10 out of 10 to my friends that I love so much and that I never ever argue it.
That's so sweet, Will.
That's so nice.
Yeah, I really
my
love,
score for you?
I love these guys so much with a tear in my eye. Look, unlike them, I guess I try to think about it only as how do I apply what I felt about this movie to a rubric that exists out of 10, right? And I was disappointed by this movie. Obviously, it was intelligent and it was creepy and it was good. And there is a frame of reference of Talk to Me there. But I'm tending to think like it's somewhere... I initially wrote down 8.0 teething teenagers, but now I'm actually thinking that would be, if we're just speaking from like a normal critical scoring system, 4 out of 5 stars, which feels like a little higher than what I had been saying the whole episode. So I feel like I'll leave it as an 8 because if these guys,
Because you're a copycat. You copied me, dude.
no, I mean I don't want to go 7.5, which would be what 3.75 stars. No, actually I think that's perfect. 7.5. I did change it.
I didn't do it.
You change it?
I didn't. Yeah, he changed it.
No, it's an 8. Now I'm
So you're changing it back?
A flip floppies.
No, I
John Kerry
we
over
said
here.
we wouldn't change them. 8.8 teeth,
I-
8.0 teething.
I
teeth.
just changed my old ones 3 times.
We all change it.
But
I'm
I
trying
forgot-
not to think of my old ones.
I forgot to give it a thing though.
Don't think your
Sorry.
old ones.
8.0. I'm giving it 8.0. Sick empty pools that you could do sick skateboarding tricks in.
Skateboarding
They
tricks.
have like a curve.
No, it didn't. You couldn't do any skateboarding
though.
tricks. Fuck, guys. I had one more question. Did we ever find out how Kathy died in this movie?
She
She
drowned.
drowned.
Well, yeah. Thank you.
She was blind.
But
She
No,
drowned.
she was bleeding in the pool in a
Right.
bathing suit.
So
I-
she probably
was
fell.
She
blind,
hit her head,
or-
probably,
Oh, I
yeah.
don't think it was a bathing suit.
No,
Yeah,
she
I think
drowned.
Right. No, I know.
Well,
I just
who
wasn't
lets
sure.
their blind kid
Yeah,
walk
in the
next
pool
to a
alone.
I know. Don't get a pool.
Yeah.
Move into
Yeah,
a house with a trampoline
Yeah.
or something.
You know.
Guys,
Put
if
up-
you get a pool, you might end up having to get 2 orphans to try to rebirth your dead daughter. So just remember that when you move to the suburbs. Brendan, what is your score
Okay,
for this movie?
so
4 scores and 7 years ago.
they call me the 8.6 boy on these parts. I've given a lot of movie 8.6, and I am going to give this movie. So when this movie began, I really was like enamored with Sora Wong's character. I thought like she was really fantastic, and like I felt it just reminded me of like my relationship with my sister. I don't know. There were moments where I became extremely emotional. And to me, it's like I don't think of this movie as like the standard horror movie. There was a lot of heart to this movie. There was a lot of great character development.
Yeah.
The characters were great. The writing was great. There were some tough parts when it came to sort of the supernatural elements of this movie, which to me kind of brought it down a couple pegs. And when comparing it to Talk to Me, the debut movie of the Philippou Brothers, I thought it fell short when comparing the two movies. So I'm going to give this movie...
To be fair to Brendan, we found out off mic that he thought he gave Talk to Me a 9.2.
Right.
Will, what do you think you gave Talk to Me? 7.5. I think we were all scared because it was the first episode to like blow our load too early. So
like,
we
that's
all
another
like
thing.
calmed
It's
it down a little bit.
Yeah,
But
our scales have adjusted
Yeah.
as we move on in grading these movies.
we're all dialed in.
Well, I didn't
we're
give
all
my-
dialed
I
up.
didn't give my score.
What's your score? You did
I
8.6.
said 8.6. No, I didn't.
You changed?
I said 8 point, and then you cut me off. And
You
said
started by saying
gave
I'm the
it-
8.6 boy.
Yeah, 8.6
like other
boy.
movies?
I usually give movies 8.6s, but this week I'm giving it 8.7.
8.7 what?
Grapefruit.
Oh,
It is-
grapefruit. Wait, you
changed yours.
Grapefruit.
No, I went back to unchanging.
And we love
I
you guys
changed
so
it.
much. Thank you so much. And tune
for
in
all
for the
that, I
next
don't get to
episode. And bye.
I was gonna have a healthy, nice reaction.
2 men and a baby. Oh yeah.